Okay. Good morning. It is 5:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Let me write this down. I am Dr. Donna Thomas Rogers, and today we are going to be discussing inferiority complex or complex, depending on where you reside. Now, the first thing we're going to do is inhale and exhale on our own to get our brains ready to receive this information, as well to have our cognitive fitness, which happens at the back half of the live. So on your own, inhale and exhale 3 times. Okay. I'd like to do a little background on how we arrived at today's topic. And so the other day, I'm always self-analyzing. Be well, Nola. Always constantly taking in information, processing. And so the other 2 days ago, Nola and I were having a conversation, and I was discussing the concept of not good enough and where it came from and why do I feel it. My cousin, who's in college now, has the same thing because he comes from a alcoholic, abusive family as well. And we were assessing, because and for those of you who want it, I'll reiterate this again. I wrote a poem because I have my non-diplomas letters from Louise, and I wrote a poem called Brilliant. And if you want that poem, just message me and I will give it to you. And that poem is an ode to someone, and basically I'm listing things and then I'm asking a question at the end. So all my life, I've been highly accomplished. I've always, from elementary school until probably yesterday, always doing something, always accomplishing something. And so that's who I am. And even when I'm on lives, I'll go back and watch it in my head. There's all this other stuff taking place. And what has happened is I have taken on the not good enough inferiority complex of my grandfather, my mother's father, as well as my mother and my sister and family members from both sides of the family, taking it on up here. You all never see it. It never shows up. I ask my daughter all the time, how did that go? And she's like, it did not go like you thought. Good morning, Regina. It did not go like you thought. And so I have this conflict going on in the inside. I will override it to do what I came here to do. So I'll give you an example. Social media, I'll post something, and in my head, it won't get enough likes. I'll say that was a bad post. Conversely, I'll have a post that has 2,000, 5,000. I mean, I have a post that has 1.2 million views, 700 some thousand, 200 some thousand. Jiffy page, as I mentioned, is at 16.9 billion, and it doesn't feel like enough over here. Now, for me, I don't really care about posts one way or another. What I care about is people learning how to hold themselves personally accountable. That's what matters to me. People attending the lives, participating in the lives, people participating in challenges and RL programs, and then getting results in their community. That's what I actually care about on the day-to-day basis. This other programming that's taking place, well, because if you think about it this way, if I'm sad when posts, if I feel bad when posts are not going well, then I should be very excited when they do. But when you get viral, people start commenting, sharing, and it gets real busy on that platform, and it interferes with the other things that I'm doing. That's how I know I don't care one way or another. Because if I should feel good about a good post and feel bad about a bad post, then I would think one is good enough and one is not good enough. But to have both not be good enough, that's coming from somewhere else, because I keep doing and accomplishing things. And that's how we got here. Where is this not good enough coming from? And we traced it to my mother being the black sheep of the family, always trying to impress my grandfather, him too, not feeling good enough. And that shit got passed down to my head, but not to my reality. So I said the other day, day before, I didn't have time to research it. I did have time to research it this morning. And that's how we get to inferiority. And I have rollerblade wheels on my chair, so give me a second because it's twisted around. There we go. I don't have inferiority complex. So I researched it this morning. I'm going to say what it is. I did go onto a website to get part of it. The other part is because they got solutions. That shit ain't going to work. But I got something that is going to work. So that's how we got here. The not good enough feeling that you have. Now, sometimes it's okay. You could not feel good enough in moments, But when you have the complex, the inferiority complex, it means it's there all the time. Everywhere you go, it's following you around. So while you may just have it every now and then, that's what the poll question is. Have you ever felt not good enough? As versus all the time. All the time you have it. Today we're going to discuss it. You're going to find out what it is, and you may or may not have it. I don't know. There may be somebody in your family that has it and has passed on the traits, sort of like my sickle cell anemia is an African American community. And so my cousin, she has the trait. She married somebody who has it. So one of their children has the trait, the other one actually has it. So it's like that. So do you have a inferiority trait, or do you have the actual complex, or do you just every now and then feel like you're not good enough? You'll find out today. But that's how we got here. So in summation, the not good enough feeling that's up here doesn't translate out here at all. You would never ever know it. Even if you met me in person, spent time with me, you'd be like, there ain't no freaking way. But up here, thanks to my immediate family and extended family members, it shows up. It's there, and then I override it. Hence, I will explain, and Kevin knows why I have this rubber band on my wrist right now, because he received the snap video. So why I'm wearing my rubber band once again. All of that being said, let's get this party started. So what is inferiority complex? And so this information at the front part of this that I received was from Everyday Health, and Nuna Alberts was the article writer person of the article, and it was vetted by medical person Allison Young. So that's where this information is coming from. So what is inferiority complex? And this is according to the APA, the American Psychological Association. So it's a basic feeling of inadequacy and insecurity that can lead to behaviors ranging from withdrawal, rooted in fear and shyness, to excessive competition and aggression as a way to overcompete. So it is, you feel insecure. So you're either going to withdraw because of shyness or fear, or you're going to show up and show out, and you're going to have excessive competition, aggression, and it's used as the way to overcompensate for the fact that you have inferior things going on the inside of you. So if you have an inferiority complex, when things go left, you respond differently. So you end up calling yourself names, you focus on your shortcomings, you resort to negative self-talk and self-criticism. So something happens and goes left, and now you over here mentally beating yourself up, trashing yourself, talking shit to yourself, and you feel bad. And so you're either going to come back out and try to lash out, or you're going to go resort to, I'm just going to go self-isolate somewhere. So that's basically the inferiority complex. Now, what causes it? Because this is the important part. So genetic predisposition. So your parents or the adults in your life are telling you that you're not good enough. And when you accomplish something, so making you feel as if nothing you do is ever going to be good enough. So I would come home and I would have good grades, and then here's my Uncle Jerry saying, yeah, but, or my sister saying, yeah, but. And I used to, when I was in elementary school, thank God they don't rate handwriting anymore, because it was the only C that I ever had on my report card, because I inherited my grandfather's handwriting. So no matter what I did, I'm coming home with all A's and B's and this damn C in handwriting. I couldn't wait to get to middle school. So I'm like, this is unfair, okay? I'm doing the best that I can. This is genetics. And so it happens. No matter what you are doing, it's never good enough. And I'll say one story. So when I moved back to Michigan after my divorce, I sold my house, paid off all my debt, had a stash of cash. So my mother would say two things. First, when I got back, because I had to live with them for a year, because thanks to my divorce, I had 720 credit score. When I got married, I was 520 because everything was in my name. So by the time I finished getting drug my ass all over Central Florida, the credit score was 520. So even though I had money, I had a credit score of 520. So I had to move back to their house for 1 year to rebuild. And so my mother would say, you need to stay your ass out the streets. You need to stay your ass out the damn mall. Got it. A year later, and stop spending so much time with your daughter. You need your own damn friends. Got it. So I'm spending time with friends, staying my ass out the mall, and making sure I'm taking care of everything. Right. Then a year later, I move out, get my stuff totally together, switch from a Durango to a Benz, And now she's telling me, I don't spend enough time with my daughter. I'm spending too much money, or I need to buy myself something. And so it was the opposite. No matter what I was doing, it was the opposite. Even when I'm coming home, because she liked Coach purses. So I would just go shopping and throw a $500, $600 Coach bag. Here you go, and leave. And I would come back a month later. She got pen marks on that motherfucker, highlighter marks and everything. And I'm like, what happened to the purse? Well, I had my pen so I'm working hard, I'm dropping off gifts, and you're destroying things. That kind of would mess with your self-esteem, right? Like, because I would have got a Gucci purse and she ain't like Gucci. So here you go. So my point is, no matter what's going on, my older sister is locking me in the closet, telling me I'm adopted. No matter what I'm doing, that ain't shit. That ain't shit. ROTC ain't shit. That ain't shit. When she couldn't beat me up physically anymore, she tried to beat me down verbally. So I went to a CTA. It's Cass Tech High School. You can look it up. Lily Tomlin went there. Big Sean, Diana Ross, a bunch of other people. Lonnie Love, me. A bunch of people went to the to that high school. It's still there. Been around since 1908, 09, somewhere around there. So, okay, and then Nola says she didn't like Gucci because she's classless. Okay. Anyway, the point is that when she couldn't physically, my sister, beat me up anymore, she went to the verbal onslaughts. Now, she went to a regular high school, and that high school ain't even there no more. None of her elementary, middle school, or high school are there. Only thing, or her junior college. The only thing that's still there is Oberlin College that she went to for 2 years to finish up her bachelor's degree. So then she starts saying Cass ain't shit. ROTC ain't shit. The Army ain't shit. Frito-Lay ain't shit. I'm like, okay, so if you hear that enough, you start to think, well, dang, my stuff is inferior. And then she will say all of these things that she's done is superior. And so it was years before I realized her shit wasn't shit, because you hear it enough, then you can't see it. It didn't stop me from doing anything, but it was there. So anytime family members are passing it down to you, you're either going to absorb it and do it, or in my case, you're not going to do it, you're just going to take it. Society is the next one. So the first one is genetic predisposition. It's coming from family and adults in your life. And the next thing you know, you grow up and you think you're not good enough. No matter what your results are, it's still not good enough because you're being told that shit ain't good enough. That ain't shit. The next one is society. And so society has unrealistic standards coming from advertising, social media, celebrities, family, friends, peers, networking groups, churches. Everything is basically saying you're not good enough. You're just a sinner saved by grace and mercy. You're just a sinner. Get your sinner ass in here. And just like, hey, woo, oh my goodness. And it's like, oh, you can't age gracefully. How dare you have fine lines and wrinkles in your face, Dr. Donna? No, you have to be young. And Halle Berry is combating that right now. She's like, I don't want to look 30 anymore. I'm not 30 and I don't want to look 30. So it's all this stuff. And we got waist shapers and girdles, and we had corsets back in the day. And if you got male pattern balding, in my case, alopecia, grow a beard and do all these other things and fill in the back of your eyebrows. And the beauty industry is worth trillions of dollars because people, between weight loss, Ozempic is going to take everybody out in Hollywood, because it's like, oh, you got to look like this, you got to look like this. And beauty standards. In the 90s, we used to make our eyebrows so thin and pencil them on. Most of us ain't got eyebrows now because of that. Now you got everybody with them damn brushes on looking like they washing a car. And they ain't never going to be able to look at themselves again because of all of this. This is what it needs to look like. So you're never good enough. They have these license plates, and I think it's in Abu Dhabi or Dubai, that you can have a Phantom, which is about 400 and some change, Rolls Royce Phantom, but the license plate for the Phantom costs more than the Phantom. And the lower, you got to apply for it. And the lower the number, the more prestigious you are. But you can't get number one because the Prince got number one. So the closest you could get is a 2. So you buy this Phantom, but the thing that makes you better than everybody else is the number that's on your doggone license plates. Never good enough. Soon as you get and video games, everybody now has to have their own console. Back in the day, all you needed was a joystick. You roll up on somebody's listen, Atari 5600, 5200, 2600, woody woo, boom, boom, boom. Sneakers. There's no reason for sneakers to cost as much as they do now, but I'm going to let you know. Listen up in here. Look at this, and I got the boo. And everybody on the waiting list to get a Birkin bag and all these other things, which makes you feel not good enough. Not good enough. And now you're literally feeling inferior. Let me tell you something, okay? My ass grew up in the motherfucking hood, okay? We had a bathtub. I went from 0 to 11 years old. We took baths. I did not have a shower until I was almost 12 years old in the house that we lived in. 12, and this was in the 70s and 80s, claw bathtub. So a shower. So now that I live in a house with 2.5 bathrooms, and at one point we had 4 bathrooms, I don't give a fuck about somebody with 12 bathrooms. I'm looking at where I came from. If you don't grow up with a shower, then you got one, you doing good. Fuck them. Okay? This whole notion of, and we go to people's houses and they'll be sitting on some bread and they're like, yeah, but we don't have as much money as such and such. Fuck them. You got to start where you started at. But this whole notion of it's never good enough, it's never good enough, it's never good enough. We used to follow people on the doggone billionaires list when it was actually real wealth. Now this bullshit, they throwing in fucking toilet paper rolls trying to add to their wealth. We won't pay attention to it no more. But now it's like, I gotta be a billionaire. And being a billionaire ain't enough. I gotta be at the top of the billionaires list. Now you're at the top of the billionaires list, as you see that ain't shit. Now you gotta go try to do something grandiose. Because society is saying you ain't never good enough. Who is then? Who is killing it? Who is killing it? Soon as somebody get a major record and it's like, oh, it sold millions of dollars, but it didn't outsell Thriller. It didn't outsell. Well, it didn't outsell Elvis. Well, you know, Quincy Jones got 85 Grammys. And it's always something else. So you just wake up feeling bad. Negativity bias. See how it's connected now to inferiority complex? It's never going to be good enough if you use the society standards. And that's why I don't compare y'all to nobody over here. It's you versus you. I ask a poll question about you. I don't ask about a poll question about you asking about somebody else. Why would I do that? No one has walked in your shoes more than you. You the only person that done walked in your shoes your whole life. You've been with you the entire time that you've been here. So that's what matters, is you versus you. Are you better than you were yesterday? Did you get out of a shit show relationship and rebuild your life? That's what matters. This whole notion of trying to put people in groups based upon some dumb shit that unaccountable people invented, that's never good enough. Oh yeah, you sitting over there. When I was growing up, we had the 8-ball jackets and the Pele's. I was on a budget, so I didn't get the Pele with the year on it. I got the Pele that looked like a regular black leather bomber jacket. You open it up and it was cartoon characters on the inside, and I had that joker for a long time. I'm like, I wish I would spend this much money on a damn jacket that you're going to tell me I got to buy another one again. I ain't in these streets. I ain't balling. I had to save up to get this motherfucker. So I'm going to have this black leather jacket on for a while. Yes, I am. I ain't got time. I'm not cut from that cloth. I'm not gonna be like, well, I can't wear that no more because that's from 2 years ago. I got a pair of Chuck Taylors in my closet right now from 2005 that I pulled them bad boys out. I got my first pair of Lucky Brand jeans from 2004 and had them on several times during the fall. So I'm not about to be paying attention to what society is telling me. Society is saying fill in the back of your eyebrows. These are my daddy eyebrows. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't filling in shit no more, ever, never, ever again. I'm not putting on no damn eyelashes. I might put on some lipstick that don't have mica in it, but that's it. Why? For your comfort level? Fuck your comfort level. It's two types of people in the world. People who hold themselves personally accountable and who don't. And society is not about to dictate, and they never have. I showed y'all my 5th grade photo. Way back, I'm rebelling like a mug with a damn tweed suit on in the 5th grade in the hood and a tie. Taking my picture because I knew I was going to be Dr. Donna. I was going to be important one day, and I might need that photo later in life. So my point is, society will have you not feeling like we don't have fucking TVs. And I ain't never had, the only time we had the right TV was when I was married. I've always had the wrong television because when I was dating, I didn't want nobody to be like, oh, yeah, I always had a small television in the living room. Man, you ain't got no big TV? Nope, that's all I got. Don't come back. You need me to have a big TV, you in the wrong house. Never had it. Never had, we don't even have a television right now. I've never had the shit that you're supposed to have when you're supposed to have it. I've always had what I needed and what I wanted. And rarely has it ever matched what anybody else was talking about. I've never been on trend. I was wearing suits and heels to high school in the 80s and 90s. People wasn't doing that back then. I've always marched to the beat of my own drum. But I got that family in my head saying not good enough. So part of my battle and struggle not getting support was because I wasn't doing what they said do. You supposed to be enlisted. I'm going to be an officer. You're supposed to go to college and come back and work at the big 3. Fuck the big 3. I'm leaving. I'm leaving on the midnight train to Georgia. I ain't even staying in this city. Y'all can have the 313, the D, and all that bullshit. I'm out. And now, oh, you feel like her bougie ass. She bougie. She bougie. No, I'm not. I'm actually not. I'm just a real leader. You can call it what you want. I call it real leadership. So society will make you feel not good enough. The next one is signs and symptoms. So to find out if you actually have inferiority complex, you focus on the negative all the time. That's negativity bias. You focus on the negativity. And you have feelings of being less than across multiple aspects of your life. Multiple aspects of your life. So this isn't the beginner's brain. You start something. When I first started Toastmasters, I'm doing my icebreaker and people already a DTM. I'm like, damn, how I'm gonna be a DTM? I got it. Okay, cool. That's not what we're talking about sporadically here and there. I wasn't good enough in the 10th grade when I went to go run track and check on my cheating ex-boyfriend. I wasn't good enough. But then I came back in the 12th grade and I was. And so I don't have an inferiority complex when it comes to running track because I lettered in cross country and in the regular track season and ran indoor as well. So that doesn't bother me. But when you keep having it, when you keep feeling less than and inferior in multiple years of your life, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of days, good morning, Driscoll, thousands and thousands and thousands of days, you got it. You got it. Okay? So if all you think about is negative shit and you keep feeling less than, that's on you, boo boo. Shutting down or withdrawing. So you avoid social events for fear of not measuring up. And this leads to social isolation. I have said this on TikTok lives, haven't said it over here. Every time, I would say 87 to 90% of the time that I was receiving an award for something or doing something grand, I had nobody in the audience from my family and friends, even when I was in Michigan, even when I was here in Las Vegas, nobody. And it wasn't until this morning that I realized what was taking place, that I was not getting rewarded or not being supported like my sister was. My sister had something, the whole fucking family had to be there. Everybody had to be there. I don't care what it was. If she was walking across the stage for 2 seconds, she needed everybody there. I was going all the way, and this is in the 80s. In Detroit, Ann Arbor is from Detroit where we live, about an hour drive. I had equations. I played academic games, equations, every Saturday. Our house was 4 houses from the school. On Saturdays, when my mother wasn't working, I had to get myself up, and I'm about to cry. I had to get myself up, get ready, walk to the school, get on the bus, and go to every away academics meeting competition by myself. And even when it was at the school, 4 houses away, her and my sister stayed home. Not one time, not one academic game from 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade were they ever in the audience. And I would come home from state every year having lost, and my mother would say, "Why are you crying? Why are you crying?" And then when I went to high school and would run track and lose meet, she would say, "You know what? You lose better now. Remember when you used to come home from academic games and you'd be crying because you lost? You lose better now." This is what this lady said to me. She literally told me I'm a better loser, never understanding maybe if somebody had been in the audience and participated and said, "Good job, what help do you need?" that it would have been easier. Now I'm the only girl on the team. I'm competing with rich kids from Ann Arbor and everywhere else and coming back on that little raggedy bus, going back to our little raggedy house, and I'm upset. And her answer was, "Why are you crying?" But if you got an inferiority complex, you can't comfort nobody else. You can't do that. So nobody went to any of my stuff because it made them uncomfortable. It made them feel inferior. And so as a result, nobody was at squad when I won. And you got that article, Regina. Nobody, because I was 8, right? I was 8 years old. I was 8, 9, and 10. Kids cry when they lose. Grown men cry when they lose. Yes. And so my squad, Regina, you read that article. The only person that was at that competition watching me was my ex-boyfriend and his friend because they left school to come watch me. And I beat 20 other high schools. Nobody there. Nobody there. Many, 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 many times. I was literally in a division contest here at Toastmasters for 2 different competitions. Nobody there. I won a business award here that you had to be nominated for, and they had a luncheon and everything. Nobody came to my luncheon. No, nothing. Retired parents, nobody. My daughter was in school. Obviously, she couldn't come. That was a lot of guys crying. Yeah, there was a lot of guys crying on this past Sunday. So my point is this. that they shut down and they withdraw, and then they can't support anybody else in anything that makes them uncomfortable. Yeah, you said it wouldn't have mattered because by that time I was a PFC in the reserves and we was on our way to Desert Storm. My unit got activated. I was so past them sure at that point they wasn't showing up to shit. So it was just more of the same. But it's what's coming up for me is now I know why they weren't there. I thought it was because I was doing something wrong. And now I just know that was on them. It didn't have nothing to do with me. So that's what they do. So demeaning others is the next thing. That's a sign and symptom. So to overcompensate for your feelings of your own feelings of inefficiencies, you become overly competitive or overly critical of others. And so that's has been my experience. They either become my Uncle Jerry becoming overly critical, my grandfather when I didn't bring home a 2.5 for my freshman first 2 quarters at Michigan State, or they become very competitive, like my sister. So my sister has been competing with me my entire life, and I didn't know why. And I'm like, why is it a competition? Everything is a competition. And my mother has co-signed for the majority of that. And so what happens is when you have inferiority complex, you either are always trying to make somebody feel bad or you're dismissive. So that ain't shit. That ain't shit. That ain't shit. That ain't shit. And so if you keep hearing it, what happened for me is I just didn't tell people about my accomplishments anymore. I was just like, why the fuck I'm gonna keep saying something where y'all either gonna tell me it's not good enough or it ain't shit. Right. And they still don't. Because at first you could say, well, my mother was a single parent trying to make ends meet. But literally, we were all here in Las Vegas and I still been kicking ass and taking names. And they ain't saying shit. My sister was in a movie as an extra and it was celebrated. I have an IMDb. I actually turned thank you Antonio Fargas. I spent the role that I was only supposed to have 5 lines in to I'm on the doggone poster of the movie and got people got YouTube videos of me. I was Dana. I was a bad person. I was a human trafficker. Anyway, if you want to see that video link, I can send that to you as well. But I was bad. I got disintegrated at the end. This is a B-list, sci-fi movie. But I was in a movie. I was in Born 5. I have a was on episode of Brain Games. I had a commercial, an energy commercial, all in Las Vegas, 0% support. So it continued. It didn't stop. It literally, I got letters from the governor and congressional people from when I won my business awards. Nothing, literally nothing at all. So again, yes, Dana. This is a trafficker. Yes, and people was like, and I got to do a lot of improvising. So yeah, and I told Nola I killed a grandmother and her grandson, and she never saw the footage. And when she saw it, she was like, "You killed a little boy and his grandmother." It's like it was acting. It was acting. Let it go. Let it go. Okay, I would never do something like that in real life. It was acting before somebody tried to report me. It was in a movie. It's called a pass-through film. Neil Breen's pass-through film, and so I was dabbling in acting, and yeah. So the point is that everything that I did, it ain't shit until you could use that information to go brag to somebody else. So if I did something that was braggable so they could go make somebody else feel bad, then they made everybody else feel bad. But at no point did I ever get you the baddest motherfucker in the family. Not one time. Not one time. And the more I accomplished, the harder it became for them to absorb everything that was taking place. When I came back, be ready to give people jobs and full length fur coats and diamonds and all of that, and it wasn't ill gotten gains, and nothing I had was good enough. Nothing at that. So to the point where when I was in the military, when I first came back from Korea, I had a 1 bedroom apartment. When you first start out, you ain't got the shit you're supposed to have. So I finessed all of that, and by the time I got promoted to captain, I lived in a 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom condo. And when my parents came to pin me to get promoted, the first thing that my mother said when she walked in the house was, "She got a bigger house than us. We got to move." Not as nice, not as clean. How'd you do it? That was the first words out of her mouth. Yeah. So, and we're namesake. I was Donna Thomas Jr. So again, demeaning others. It ain't never ever. And they used to take credit for everything that my daughter did as if she 8 years old doing it on her own. So it was an interesting time. But hey, they got it. I don't have it. The last thing is avoiding competition. Let me make sure I make that a highlight in case my sister do a drive-by. She can hear it. All right. Avoiding competition. So they go out of their way to avoid any situations where your efforts might be compared to others. Yes, hurt people hurt people. So anytime, so part of the reason why they weren't coming to my competitions was because what if I lose? And I did lose. I did lose and I did win. They did come to my track competitions only because my stepfather's plant was getting remade. So he wanted to come see the meets. And so she was there. And it was at those meets where I lost that she then reminded me that I'm a better loser now than when I was in elementary school. When she said that, when she was like, "Yep, you really are a good poor sport. You just." So there you have it. All right, and they persistently are looking for validation and praise from others. So my sister, my mother are always looking for praise and validation, and when they don't get it, they go right back into that shutting down, withdrawing. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to nobody. This is not happening. We had a family reunion here that I planned, and it was great. And everybody, the dinner was dressed in the decade that you were born. So people that were born in the 40s had on stuff from the 40s, people born in the 80s. And so my mother went all out for her outfit, and she did not get the praise and recognition that she wanted. So she got mad when it was time to go back to the suite. She goes upstairs, closed the door, don't talk to nobody else because people didn't tell her how cute she looked in her 1940s outfit. That's just one example. And then you have a tendency to overanalyze compliments and criticisms. And so you vacillate back and forth between, they told me this and they told me that and they told me this. Or, man, they said this, they said that. And so you're stuck either way. And then you display signs of low self esteem. So, again, let me review the signs and symptoms. You focus on the negative. You're always feeling less than over the course of your life. You always shut down or withdraw. So you avoid social settings that would make you feel like you don't measure up. You demean others, so you compensate for your own insufficient feelings by either being overly critical or being extremely competitive. Well, when I did it, then that ain't shit, and that ain't shit. And then you avoid going to competitions. So my sister and I both started Toastmasters in 2008. And she earned her competent communicator. It's now level 1 through 4, but she earned her competent communicator before me because I had work and all things to do. So she earned hers. I completed mine. I then finished my DTM, chartered some Toastmasters Club. My stepfather made us have Christmas dinner together when I was still celebrating the holidays. And so she came with the person that she was dating at the time. And so I invited them to my Toastmasters Club. And so they came. She tried to blow that spot up too. But while she was there, I said, well, you're back. Go ahead and get your DTM. And she couldn't get it because the entire time you have to have 10 speeches back then to get a competent communicator. Every time somebody, because people have to review your speech. If you haven't been to Toastmasters, you do a speech, then a person gets up to review your speech. And so every time she got a speech review, she called me. I was living in Birmingham at the time. She calls me and crying, telling me that somebody picked her speech apart. And I couldn't understand it because I was like, but that's what they do. That's what, and by that time I had so many certifications where people are evaluating you and stuff. I was like, this is just part of the process. It's for you to get better. So she scaved on by and got that doggone competent communicator. And ain't no, you got to give way. You got 30, 40 more speeches that you got to give and a bunch of other shit to do before you become a distinguished Toastmaster. And so what has happened in that is that I went back over my life because I have all these photo albums with me with all my certificates and everything. And my sister doesn't have a lot of awards. And I didn't understand why. But now seeing this morning is that competition. When you're there competing with other people, now you get to be compared to everybody else. And if you lose, now you're definitely going to feel like a loser. That's what's going to happen. And so my stepfather, really nobody in my family and extended families got a lot of competition. Nobody was in sports. My mother played field hockey, but she won't talk about it. So I don't know what the fuck the results was, but she was a cheerleader and that's it. And don't know anybody's go in their office. Don't see a lot of certificates and stuff on the wall or anything else. That's one of the reasons why when you finish a challenge, I give you a certificate because adults don't get celebrated nowhere near as much as children do. So now you can have these things to say, look, I'm still accomplishing things. But that was huge because I've won so many things, lost a lot, won a lot. And that doesn't impact me one way or another. But now it makes perfect sense that if I keep coming home with citizenship and honor roll and I'm doing all these things for my entire life, you just get tired as a parent with inferiority complex or as a sibling, an older sibling. She over there looking like doggone Jermaine Jackson and here come Michael. I'm in here with all my certificates and everything. I understand it now. I don't excuse it, but I understand it. So, in summary, people with inferiority complexes want you to feel bad. They want you to feel bad, so they say things to you and they demean you and they criticize you, or they overinflate their value to make you feel bad. Their objective is for you not to feel like you're enough because they don't feel like they're enough. So if you've ever been on the receiving end of that, if you grew up in a household with it, now you understand where it's coming from. Most of the time it's genetics, and it's been passed down and passed down and passed down and passed down, and it happens globally. It None of us can unscathe it at one point or another, even if it was you worked for somebody with an inferiority complex. Somewhere you have been exposed to it, and you can get away from it if you didn't grow up in it. But if your friend group always talking shit, yeah, you think you're doing something. My college roommate used to tell me, you think you perfect. You think you perfect. I'm like, it's best. It's not perfect. She always doing something. She always doing something. And that's why they sit in their comfort zone. It's really an inferior complex zone. And so everybody sits there in their little system of who's the one. If you think of Entourage, and nobody wants to be Turtle because that's the one that's just really bad. So, but everybody else has their place. Everybody else. And I mentioned this before as well, and then I'm going to give you the way to resolve it. Mink coats. Anybody that lives in the Midwest or the East Coast, you go to church and you in the hood of the Baptist church, and everybody got their mink on. That's the whole thing. I gotta give me a mink. Gotta give me a mink. Gotta get me a mink. It's not necessarily an example of emotional abuse, because so it's not like gaslighting, because gaslighting is done on purpose, but this is something that they're not even aware of that they have. So much more like a hijacked amygdala, where somebody keeps waking up every day looking for a fight. It's been just like negativity bias. It's just been passed down, and that's just what people do. Like, people will just sit around and do it. I'm better than you. I'm not, but you're not better than me. That they don't even know that it's consciously aware. So I am just, and this is just my personal belief, that this is happening through genetics at this point. It's actually passed down to the point. Who was the originator? We'd have to go back thousands and thousands, some would argue billions of years. But it's not the emotional abuse. The emotional abuse comes from someone else abusing you. Whereas this inferiority complex is actually based upon competition. So if somebody is abusing you, and I've experienced abuse as well, that's coming from an amygdala state. So that's emotional. I'm a verbally assault you, and I'm trying to tear you down on purpose. But this inferiority complex is the reason why they couldn't come to my social events, was because my social events were too much. So that wasn't emotional. It was, oh no, people are going to be better than me at this event, so I'm not going to go. I have one more example. Thank you for that, Regina. So I won an award here. It was for community service. And so what happens is, in this instance, and they have it a couple times a year. So in this instance, the mayor Goodman, the husband, Oscar Goodman, was the featured person. So you have Oscar Goodman and Carolyn Goodman. Both of them have been mayors of Las Vegas for a very long time. So what happened was, I won the award, and it was community service excellence. And so what they did was, you win the award and you got to go to, I forgot, Nola's going to tell us, we had a minor league baseball team here. So you were going to go, they were going to celebrate you. You're going to have, food, barbecue, all this pregame tailgating, but in the facility, the complex, the air conditioned part. And then you get a picture with Oscar, and then you get to go down on the field before the game, wave to everybody, and have a picture. So my parents didn't know that this was going to happen. So I said, hey, I'm getting this award. You like baseball. Let's go and watch the baseball game. So what we did was, we, because it was their anniversary, we bought them seats right behind home plate. Here you go. Y'all all close. We're going to sit in the seats that it gave us. So it came with 2 tickets to the game, and then bring whomever you want. You got to pay for everybody else's ticket. So these ghetto motherfuckers, and I'm saying this, I don't know what they thought. My stepfather comes with cargo pants with snacks. So we we get in, and instead of going down with the fans, we get on the elevator and go up to the room where there's all this food and drinks and everything complimentary. Sitting at the table, go back and forth. Oh, we gave them our seats. That's what it was. Okay, so we gave them our nice seats and we bought cheaper seats. Let them sit right behind home plate. You're correct. I forgot about that. So their ghetto asses then brought snacks to the minor, even though I told them what was happening. And they get there, he said, "Oh, I don't even need my snacks." You you don't need your snacks. So they had this whole experience that they had never had before. And then it started him saying he want to go start going back to baseball games because they had been to the baseball game since we've been here. So that's how I roll. So my daughter grew up in experiences like that. It's nothing for her to have something like that. Private tour example, all that's it. But they have been gone and so out of touch with what I have been doing. And then another thing, one more thing I forgot. So I used to go to all these networking events and I went into this thing, it entered and won a dinner at Spanish Trail. So anybody who lives in Las Vegas, you know what Spanish Trails is. And so they have a golf course inside of the community. And so I won dinner for four at Spanish Trails. I think Jeff just anyway, the manager was cool with me. I think I just won because who I was. So then we go and we're sitting on one of the golf holes or whatever it is, full birthday dinner at Spanish Trails. And they didn't know what to do with that either. So those just two things that they were very extremely trying to get it done, all drinks, everything, desserts, all that, just did not know how to participate. And again, that's because of their lack of having any modicum of success whatsoever. And so I'm saying that to say that when they did show up, it was this very like Granny and Jed sitting here trying to understand what was taking place, even with the family reunion that I planned at a very high level. So my point is that I'm saying this. People with inferiority complex want to keep you stuck. They want to keep you where you are because that's what makes them comfortable. So a lack of support from somebody around you doesn't mean that you are not doing something grand. It just means that they can't be with you watching you do it because it's going to make them feel bad. That's what's actually taking place. So do not take it as a lack of support because you ain't shit. That's not what's happening at all. And now I'm very clear about that. And so I'm cool with it. I can heal from all of the times that I'm standing there and there's no one in the audience to stand up and say, "That's my child up there. That's my daughter. That's my sister. That's my..." No, none of that was taking place. And now it becomes extremely clear because I did all these things that would make them feel uncomfortable. So how do you resolve it, Dr. Donna? You have put all this shit out here and you have said it's some of your business and all of that. Watch this. So that's where I stopped. And I incorporated some of my own information in it as well. But I did not like the solutions that the person that wrote the article had. And that's because that person doesn't have the resources that I have. So here is what I have. How to resolve it. Personal accountability. Because how did I get out of it? How am I not impacted by what took place everywhere I went? How is that possible? And it's personal accountability. So when you apply the 74 principles of real leadership, you strengthen your mind. We know that. That's why we do cognitive activities every single day, because you stay in the frontal lobe. Because inferiority complex got you sitting in your amygdala. Because when you're in your frontal lobe, guess what's there? Your personality. Your personality is there. Who you is for real, for real. But this amygdala got you with conformity biases. It got you doing confirmation biases and all this other shit. And so you are fake as a $4 bill with your face on it because you don't know who you are and whose you are. But guess what teaches you who you are? Personal accountability. Personal. That means you got to find out who you is. So you will know who you ain't, and can't nobody talk you into being something else, because people have been trying for decades and they can't talk me into not being me. I might alter something because they're like, "Oh, you do this." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, fuck that. I'm not doing that." Long term, it's not going to happen, because if I can't see the benefit of it, I'm going to say one of my favorite sentences: "I'm not doing that shit." And I'm going to keep it moving. I will stop completely. My daughter did not know I knew how to cook, because when I was dating, once they found out I knew how to cook, we didn't go to dinner no more. So I went on I don't know how to cook. I could warm some shit up, but I can't cook. So she had no idea that I could cook. But she's like, "Hold up, you know how to cook?" I sure do. I sure do know how to cook. Very good. I'm a very good cook. So personal accountability has you being yourself. Personal unaccountability has you being them and other people. And now you got this doggone inferiority complex. If you are around a bunch of inferior people, watch this. This is how you know. Go to an event with all of your peoples. Everybody trying to outdress everybody. Why? Why? Coming in late, showing up. And how many family reunions you done been to? We got to pull up with the new, oh, we got a family reunion, come, we got to get a new car. Got a family reunion, come, we got to get a new house because the family reunion is in our city. Oh, we got to get all this other stuff. Keeping up with the Joneses and everything because you got this inferiority complex. I don't care. If you got something good, cool. If you want to live in a mansion, go ahead. I like the size house that we live in. We have enough space. I'm good. I don't need to be living in 50,000 square feet. Been in them big ass houses and we didn't lost each other trying to be like, damn, we gotta go to the kitchen. This is gonna be a 5-minute trip. So it's not for us. And if you want to do it, go ahead, but don't do it because you out trying to do other people. I know who I am. I wore Gucci from the time I was 15 years old until 40 something because I liked the product at the time. And I liked the fact that they made it and you couldn't get it. That was it. And plus it worked with me. I wore Lucky Brand jeans until they went out of business because it fit my body style and my clothes. It's easier to take a pair of slacks that's $100, $200 and get them tailored than to take a pair of $35 slacks. So it had nothing to do with I got this on because most of the time, once I realized that everything with the big G's and all that on it was made for a different group of people, I started buying stuff that unless you was up on it, you didn't even know that it was Gucci because I just liked that. So, oh, and to go back to the fur coats. So the fur coats, you had to have a fur coat. But going to church on Sunday when you got grown, you had to have a fur coat. So I had a mink initially, and that's one of my first mink that I gave to my mother. So it was black, had fox cuff and collars. Her mink fell apart, so I gave her one of mine. And once I realized that mink is heavy and you can't only wear it to church and all of that, I bought 5 more fur coats. And people had a problem with that because I had them for my jeans. I had them for, I'm going here. And people, you're talking from a point of view from someone who had it all. It's intrinsically human nature to want things we can't and don't have. Okay. Are you saying that I've had it all and so that's what I'm saying you don't need it? Is that I just want to understand what you're saying. So if you could clarify that you mean me, that I'm saying I had it all and that if you don't have it, you want it. I think that's what you're saying. If that's correct, say yes. So anyway, people had a problem with me having different coats. People had a problem with me having mink. People had a problem with me having, I mean, fox. What is it? A bleached raccoon and shearling, sheared. You supposed to have this, and that's it. So now I'm being made to feel bad because of how many coats I have. The fact that I put them in storage. Okay, thank you for that. And so that was a problem. So I'm like, you know what? I can't win. I'm done. That's why I'm just I'm gonna just keep doing what I'm doing because this ain't gonna wait. What if I'm broke? You need some money. If I got some money, you think you better than everybody else. So yes. So vertical effects. It is human nature to want things we can't and don't want to have. It is not human nature. It is actually programming. And so it's not that. If you stay in the executive function of your brain, you will know who you are and you will make decisions based upon needs and not wants. So you will get everything you need and then sprinkle in a little bit of wants. But want comes from an emotion, which is your amygdala, and your limbic system is where all of your emotions and negative feelings are. When you are processing things through the executive function of your brain, you are focused on yourself. And so you're not wanting things that you can't have. You are, if you desire them, you will do the work to go and acquire them, but you won't want it because someone else has it. So I have never been a person, and I'm speaking from personal accountability and using everything that I say. Good morning. That's not true. It's actually an brand SIBO is the reason why you want it. So it's marketing. It's marketing and it is society that makes you want those things, but you actually don't. And here's why. Phil Knight's Shoe Dog is a good book. Phil Knight talks about how he became Nike. And what he said is you get it out your system. So society makes you think, oh, I want this, I need this, I want this, I want this, I want this. And then you get it. And now you're like, not so much. Right. And you could have gotten there without having to do that, is my point. That's the whole point. And so marketing and advertising make you think you want those things. And because you were able to go get those things, as Phil Knight said, You get it out of your system, and then you realize, I didn't want that. I realized, and sitting on Roberto Cavalli's yacht for my 40th birthday at the Cannes Film Festival in the French Riviera, this is I. This ain't extraordinary, especially when I'm watching celebrities go in the bathroom and treat their nose. Not so much. And so it's being positioned as this is something that you want. But if it was never there, if there was no brand SIBO, then you would just go and be personally accountable and do the things that you do. We don't purchase less because I'm not in that lifestyle anymore. We make purchases based upon the things that we need with a little bit of want. So it has been, and it's called The McDonaldization of Society. So that's also a great book that you can read that says you got to have this. And as soon as you get it, it's obsolete. And now you got to get the next thing because that's capitalism and that's what works to fund society, but it doesn't work when you know who you are. So my point is, when you learn how to hold yourself personally accountable, you will go and make purchases based upon you as a person. And if you like driving sports cars, go ahead. If you want to live in gated, go ahead. But it will be your personal choice. I didn't say be poor again. I never said be poor again. See, you misconstrued what I said. At what point did I say be poor again? And I feel like we're having a conversation that's not necessarily on topic to what I'm saying. So you're here and you're picking out what I'm saying. So what I'm discussing is inferiority complex, and I'm using personal examples to corroborate what it is that I'm saying or further reiterate what I'm saying to give examples to that. So I'm not here to debate about wealth or being broke or poor. My point of view is that I am talking about inferiority complex. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Dr. Donna Thomas Rogers, and these lives are here, morning mental workouts every day. I developed the theory of personal accountability as well as the 74 principles of real leadership. There are 6.8 billion adults not holding themselves personally accountable in the world, and that's what's wrong with society. So I have developed over 10,600 YouTube videos as well as other resources and programs to teach adults how to use their amazing brain, because there isn't a manual for it, in order for people to learn how to hold themselves personally accountable to become their best, so we can stop dealing with bullshit nonsense and increase people becoming their best so the world can be a better place. You're here today for one segment, one small amount of that process. So do you understand that? If you'd like to know more about me, go to LinkedIn and you will see about 80% of my credentials. Feel free to go to my website, theturnarounddoctor.com. Should you have any other questions, feel free to email me or contact me through one of my social media platforms. So this is a snapshot of what I'm talking about. So I'm here today doing my morning mental workout, where today is my 466th day live, to talk about a component of the brain so that you can start to use it, because it didn't come with a manual, so you can start to understand how to use it as a resource to get to your best on a daily basis. So in that, today's topic is inferiority complex. Okay? Now, taking risk removes you competing. So you don't have to compete when you take risk. You don't have to compete anymore. If you're taking risk every day, you don't have to compete with anybody else because you're focused on taking risk. Think positive, which is one of the principles of real leadership, removes you having to think negatively. Believing in yourself, and all of these I'm saying a real leadership principle first, believing in yourself removes the feeling of feeling less than. So when you take risk and when you think positive, you are going to start believing in yourself and you will not feel less than. I don't feel less than nobody. And again, all that stuff was sprinkled from my family members, but it didn't stop me from doing anything because that shit belongs to them. And so what Nola told me when we were having the conversation was, you have a post that says, she couldn't remember what it is, but it's a turnaround risk that says, you're going to run some errands today and you're going to drop off everybody's problems. And I've told y'all to do that. So I'm going to give them their shit back. I don't want it. It don't belong to me. So here you go. It doesn't fit. The next one is challenge yourself, removes looking for praise from others as well as looking for validation from others. When I challenge myself, once it's done and I've accomplished the challenge, when I finished and got 1 billion views from Jiffy, I challenged myself. So I didn't need the approval, because my mother disapproved of me making Jiffies because she said it ain't gonna make no money. That page is sitting at 16.9 billion and it's in everybody's phone. Go to GIF. Type in Dr. Donna and watch my shit populate in your phone. Gang, gang. That's a win. I ain't got to feel inferior. I don't need validation from others. The doggone APIs and all the technology validated that I knew what the hell I was doing back then. The next one is be objective. So be objective removes your need to analyze, praise, or criticize others to need it. You don't need approval or criticism from others when you are objective. When you are objective, you base all your decisions upon facts. You don't do anything without a strategy, and now you know what you're doing. So nobody can come and approve or disapprove of personal accountability or the principles of real leadership. I ain't asking for your praise or your criticism. Do it. If you hold yourself personally accountable to become your best, you're going to see that it works. And if you don't, you're going to believe that it doesn't. Why am I trying to convince you? I ain't going to convince you of shit. You're going to have to convince yourself. And if you got conformity bias and confirmation bias, you can't hear what I'm saying anyway. And then the last one, the last two, help others removes demeaning others. You can't help somebody genuinely and demean them at the same time. It's impossible to do. Stupid motherfucker, move. No. What's going on? Okay, let me help you. Here you go. And then the last one, if you have fun, embrace diversity and embrace change and grow continually, it removes shutting down and withdrawing from society. So everything from an inferiority complex that you have, there is a real leader principle, one or more, to remove it. So you don't have to sit in it any longer, and you can implement it instantaneously. You do not have to make a therapy session. You do not need a prescription drug to go and undo some shit neurologically. That you can create new neural pathways through neurogenesis on your own. You don't need. I'm telling you what you need to do, and according to Kevin, it's priceless. It is. So it's very simple. Personal accountability is simple but not easy because it takes you leaving your limbic system that's overstressed anyway and come to your frontal lobe and start implementing the principles of real leadership and the theory of personal accountability. That's how you get rid of it. That's how we eradicate it from the world. Thank you for that, Kevin. I appreciate that. And yeah, so vertical effects, stay to the end and I will answer your question. So that's that. So does anybody have any questions regarding inferiority complex before we go to our cognitive activities? And I know I've been longer. If you need to go, I totally understand, but we got to get this in. So get your note-taking materials out if you don't have them out already. And we're going to do, I'm only going to do one of each, and then I will bring the other ones back tomorrow. Okay. So number one, math problem. You're going to have 30 seconds on this one because we don't even have any parentheses on it. So you got 30 seconds. I'm going to say the math problem twice, and then you have 30 seconds to answer the question. Okay? Matter of fact, I'm going to say these other two. I'm going to just do the third one. So you literally have 30 seconds, and you can feel free to use a calculator or longhand if you're feeling frisky this morning. So here, I need my red pen so I will know which one I used to use these other two tomorrow. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your age and you're going to multiply it by 365. And some of you have done this before, but you're going to do it today. And yes, you're going to put it in the damn comments. And nobody is going to judge you about your age over here. And if they do, I will get rid of them. You're going to take your age, you got 30 seconds, and multiply it by 365. Yeah, thought so. $15 seconds has passed. $25 seconds has passed. And time. All right. Okay, there are more people on this live than that. So now don't nobody want. People got inferiority complex over here. Okay, so this is the amount of days. Kevin and I have the same amount of days. This is the amount of days that you have been on Earth. And for those of you who are not brave enough yet to drop that number in, this is the amount of days that you have been on Earth. So when you say you didn't have time, you were busy. This is thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of days. Thousands of days. So you actually have had time. And so Kevin and I are both 51. And so if you say 51 years, then you're like, well, when you say 18,615, and when you Regina says 26,000, and Harry from Sherry, 18,000, you're a little bit you're older than Kevin and I. That's a lot of days. That's a lot of days for you to not have been personally accountable the whole time. So that's why when people start telling me, you understand, no. Because the tagline is it's in your daily. It's in your daily. So you've had that many days. That's why unaccountable people count years. It's the annual, because 51 is less than 18,615. It is. It is. It is. Okay? 51 is less than that. So it's the I'm 51, I'm 70, I'm 22, I'm 25, I'm 37, only been here. Okay. But when you look at that days, that's why every day counts. That's why I don't celebrate holidays no more. Because this is a day I ain't never getting back again. I don't care that for some people it's Valentine's Day. Today is February 14, 2025, and I'm never going to see this day again. So I'm going to make the most out of this day. I'm not about to, and tomorrow's the 15th. So it's just the 15th. It's just Saturday. It's just Monday. It's just 52 Mondays in a year. And people be like, fuck Monday. Fuck 52 days. 52? You're just going to throw away 52 days out of a year because it's Monday. You see the absurdity of that? Absolutely not. Absolutely 100%. You value this day because you are never, ever, 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 ever going to get it again. Money is renewable. Time ain't. You're not getting this day back. So you better capitalize off of this doggone day. Okay. Now, we got another one. I'm dropping it down. We got 3-letter anagram today. And guess what y'all getting? 15 seconds. Okay? You get 15 seconds on this anagram. I'm going to say the anagram twice, and you got 15 seconds. 2. You're going to triple team me yesterday. No, it's the point. I'm seeing something by doing a 3-letter anagram. So the 3-letter anagram today is now. N-O-W, now. You have 15 seconds to develop an anagram starting now. Ten seconds has passed. 15 seconds. Okay. So what point did I just prove? That if you have a 3-letter anagram, you actually can solve it in 15 seconds or less. So it wasn't that it was the 15 seconds. Yesterday, it was that it was a 5-letter anagram. Gotta love me some Dr. Donna. Okay. The riddle for today is this. And you have 30 seconds to solve this riddle. What invention lets you look right through a wall? What invention lets you look right through a wall? 30 seconds on the clock starting now. $15 seconds has passed. And time. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I said, Nola, when I saw it, I said, I know what your answer is going to be. I knew it. All right. Anyone else? That is the answer that I have. Hear it from Sherry is window. But I knew Nola was going to say X-ray. Nola was going to say stud finder, and Regina said X-ray. Okay, I'm getting ready to give you the results of the poll question. And the poll question today was, be honest. You love her more now? Even more now. I know, right? She's showing them boomers. They always say, with the damn boomers. The boomers won't change for nothing. They're just stuck in their ways. The boomers. That's just how they are. It's not. She killing the game. It's not fair. Okay, so we have 83% said yes and 16% said no. Go ahead and explain your answer if you are still here and you voted on the poll question. Voted on the poll question. And so I have used multiple examples in my lifetime, and what I will say is that it never matched. So what's happening here is, and Kevin saw the video, this is the snap exercise. Oh no, I got to get a new rubber band. Dang it. Okay. Anyway, because y'all can tell how much I've been snapping. So what happens is I am now removing the inferiority complex thoughts that have been bestowed upon me by family and friends. And so I will be snapping away until the thoughts are totally 100% gone. If you want that video, message me and I will send you that video. It was also when I was working on animations using Powtoons when I first started in business. And so that video is 11 years old. However, it is still applicable today. All right. So answers for the poll question. And while you are answering the poll question, I will have to say this. So if you see right there, I don't know if you can see that, that's a wound. So Dr. Donna had a near miss yesterday at an appointment. I was unsafe. We were at Airbnb for a pre-existing client, her fifth house, and it was cold in there. She hasn't turned the heat on yet because technically you don't really need it. But we were there for 4.5 hours. And so as a result, we had to do a lot of we were hanging curtains and making box springs and stuff. So I took the box spring out of the box, we got, I forgot, bolt cutters. They're not bolt cutters. Nola's going to correct me on what the name of it is. And I cut all the zip ties off of it. And then we got down to the last little bit of slats. By that time, the other construction contractor people were there to change a mirror wall to one of those paneled walls. So they were all in the living room with all their stuff, and we have moved our stuff to the game room. And so I said, man, I don't feel like walking past all of them and go back. I could use my box cutter for this. Step one, wrong. So step two, they were thicker because it was a king size bed. So I'm doing like this. I'm holding my hand. I'm doing like this. And so I cut myself right here. Right? Being unsafe. So then I tell Nola, hey, diagonal cutters that she just bought. Yes. So now, fortunately, we were in the primary, there was a sink right there. So I tell her, hey, I'm going to need you to give me some paper towel. But everything still is in the house. So she has to go outside to our vehicle to get paper towel. I'm cleaning my wound. It's bleeding. I'm cleaning it. She finally brings paper towel. And so I'm pressure dressing it. And I'm like, dang, we don't need more than Band-Aids for this. But fortunately, because the client was still ordering things, there was a first aid kit available. So I went to the other bathroom, administered first aid on myself, packed it down, Neosporin, wrapped it up. So then my whole hand was wrapped up because we had another appointment to go to. So near miss, bad on me. I'm wrong. I'm telling y'all, I'm a safety advocate. Here I am doing something wrong. Nothing serious, no sutures, no steri strips or anything. But the point is this. We have been saying that we need some more liquid Band-Aid because we will have minor cuts from boxes and everything. And so we got a first aid kit and this, okay? So this right here, and I promise you this is not promotion or anything. I'm saying it's called New Skin. You can get it at Target and at CVS. But this is what's on top of this wound. You see, y'all can't even see it. It's clear. So New Skin is for when you have minor cuts somewhere where a bandage won't stay. And this stuff, it didn't burn. It's for sensitive skin. It's hypoallergenic, dermatology tested, seals out dirt and germs because we got work to do today. We're going to be in a garage, so I needed this closed. And you know, if you have bandages, you put gloves on, it can come off. So this right here is the business. And so we were going to get just liquid Band-Aid, and you just put it on like it's nail polish or whiteout. You put it on twice, once, let it dry, and do it again. Bada boom, bada bing. So New Skin, in case you get a cut. But I was wrong, 100% wrong. I've already counseled myself and everything else. And the benefits are that now we have New Skin. So you can still turn a negative into a positive. No one else answered the question, so you're explaining your poll question answer. So Nola said my answer, here we go. Nola said my answer was yes because of my ADHD and ADD. I used to feel not good enough because I used to feel incompetent because I thought because of it I had limitations. That's correct. In college, they made me play third string on the football team, but they recruited me to play the starting position. That was ego crushing. Wow. So then you understand, Kevin. My cousin is currently at Alabama. Um, and that still happens, Kevin. Yep. And it wasn't really product placement. And then Regina or anybody else, do y'all have you with the new skin? I said it wasn't because it's YouTube. So I wasn't I was just saying that it actually works. So they didn't it's no promo or nothing. It's more saying I was unsafe. I said I'm a safety advocate and I caused my own near miss. So I was really holding myself personally accountable to tell y'all that I will check myself too. Okay, got it. All right, in high school, while learning French, I could read conjugate verbs, understood the language, but spoke with a Brooklyn accent, and the teacher cringed every time I spoke. I resemble that remark, Regina, because I used to say, Guten Tag, B. Gates, das ist sehr gut. I mean, gut, sprechen Sie Deutsch, nicht sehr so gut, auf Wiedersehen. So I totally totally understand and get me mad, and all those INGs and those THs are going to turn into Fs and INs, and I am just going to go hamburger. All right, the word of the day is temporary, and it means not permanent, and that's also for the PA for today as well as the Real Leader Brain. And as you grow through challenges, you will get to it. Temporary, not permanent. Use the word of the day 5 or more times. However, you also have something else that you need to do, and be ready for it tomorrow to follow back up. List 5 things in your life that you thought were big at the time and permanent, but ended up being temporary. So 5 things you thought this was going to be permanent, and now it was temporary. So go ahead and do that. And the reason why you're going to do that is because you think these things are permanent, and then you realize that they're not. Based upon the principles of real leadership, you can untangle your ass out of a bunch of stuff. Okay? Homie, if you still here, what's your username? Vertical Effects, are you still here? Anybody else that needs, yeah, they still doing that, Kevin. You know, Donna. Nola has a sports advising company, so she works with youth sports to get them D1 offers or get them out of JUCO and all of that. So that's her second business. It's called Assemble Sports. You should check it out. So she knows how to get those who ain't being seen actually get seen and get real offers. My cousin had 24 offers, all Power 5 schools. So I guess they're no longer here. Vertical Effects. Are you here? Yeah. So that's what she does. Because you got to navigate through NIL and all kind of stuff. The transfer portal. She knows how to pick schools all the way down to you picking a school to make sure you got the right uniforms, that you actually can do the school work at the school and not be trying to go to Vanderbilt and you dumb as a box of rocks. That ain't going to work. So all of that. Yep. Uh-huh. Okay. So I guess, Kevin, you the person left. Okay. All right. So for the people who are still here to solve that person's question, my daughter just told you that she has ADHD and ADD, and because of her leadership, it works. It works, and it works. And did I mention that it works? Okay. And while Kevin is saying that, and if you have to go, you have to go. But I'd just like to address the word articulate. Not a fan of the word articulate. I prefer well spoken. You can communicate effectively. Yeah, my cousin is getting ready to convert to a tight end. He's 6'7", 200 pounds right now, but he needs to put on weight. So articulate. Don't. Yes, articulate is not a word that bodes well for me. And it's because I am African American and I am from Detroit. And so when people tell me that, I do not find it a compliment. I don't really care about compliments either, but it is well spoken. And so here's what I will say: no one has control over where they are born. They don't get to pick their parents, siblings, or any of that. And so being from the Midwest, if you stay in the Midwest as I did for a while, you will have a Midwestern accent. If you are, as Regina said, you're in New York, you're going to have a New York accent. If you go down south, you're going to say, "Hey y'all, how's it going?" You're going that southern drawl that people just don't resonate with. And then if you go to Boston, you're going to park your car and it just goes all the way over the US. If you're in Atlanta, you say what it do. If you're in Detroit, you say what up, though. It just happens. My ex-husband used to say, "I'm gonna go chip off a couple corners." So the slang, the jargon, and all of that is based upon where you are from. And here's the thing: the people came over here to make this country were the bottom dwellers, the bottom feeders, and they were not articulate. And if you go to Canada, you have to say resources instead of resources. I have students that are in other continents, and so when they send information in, it's interesting because they are not American, and so you get to see that. I had that same experience when I was in the military. So articulate is class. It's based upon class. So people that tell you that you are articulate have put you in a certain class, and now they believe that they're giving you a compliment because they're saying, "Oh, you don't sound ghetto. You don't sound ignorant." And what you're using is confirmation and conformity bias to assume that because of something that you see or predetermined from a snapshot, that you know me. If you listen to Bill Gates has a whining, annoying voice. But people listen to him because he's Bill Gates. If he was Kevin Washington, nobody would be listening to him. If he was at just regular Kevin Smith working at Frito-Lay on a line, people would say, "Oh, I can't stand to hear Kevin's voice. Kevin's voice annoys me so much. He gets on my nerves. He sits there and he rocks back and forth and he gets on my nerves." But because of who Bill Gates is, people dismiss all of those idiosyncrasies and they put up with it because of what he's been able to accomplish from buying Microsoft, the actual software itself, for $50,000 from the person who actually created it, and then going to get Ballmer and what's his name that just died to help it turn into what you all see today. Alan, dang it, Nola, what's Alan's name? He died first of those three of cancer. So the point is this, for everybody who's listening and for the replay: saying that someone is articulate is not a compliment to the person who's receiving it. Because what you thought about them, Paul Allen, that's what it is. What you initially thought was that they weren't intelligent or articulate. And then instead of saying, I had conformity bias, I had confirmation bias because you said ain't got no, so I thought you was a little ghetto. And I reserve 2% for that. But it's part of who I am. So I'm never going to not say that I'm not from Detroit, because I am. I'm never going to say I never lived on Glendale between 12th and 14th, because that made me who I am. And I can go ghetto-lectual, I can talk with the best of them, and I can still communicate with someone else. Because what I'm really doing is I'm communicating effectively, which is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. So a conversation that I would have with a 4-year-old is not a conversation that I would have with an 85-year-old. And so to say you are articulate is to just mean that you can speak, you are well spoken. But to communicate effectively, I have the ability to have students in other countries. I had the ability to have soldiers that were Korean. I've had peers when I was in the Army from different armies, from the Turkish Army, from the Saudi Arabian Army, from other places. And so what that makes me is well-rounded. It actually makes me well-rounded. So if I can sit at a dinner where the tables are $50,000, $100,000 and eat Western style, and then I can go to a soul food restaurant where on the pop dispenser it says red for Kool-Aid, and I wouldn't drink it now because it's too much sugar, but then pick up chicken and lick my fingers if I need to, or if I'm in Africa, I can do it all. So that makes me universal. It makes me a global citizen. It does not make me articulate, because I can say ain't got no. And I can also say odoriferous emanations and use them properly when speaking. Now, because of my high cheekbones and my Midwestern accent, some words will come out based upon, and it literally is proven because of how, like, you can't for German and Spanish, sometimes you can't, you have to learn how to roll your R's based upon where you are. So when we embrace diversity, then it's okay if I say ain't got no. It's okay if I double dutch and stutter step to speak, because I'm doing this extemporaneously. Okay? So articulate, not a compliment. It's not a compliment for me, and I would venture to say that it's not a compliment for a lot of people, because no one goes around telling Bill Gates you're articulate. No one says world leaders, oh my goodness, you're a world leader and you're so articulate. It shows your conformity bias and your confirmation bias when you say that. So if anyone chooses to say that going forward, don't say it. And I'm speaking for the people who keep being on the receiving end of, wow, you're so intelligent and so articulate. What would make you think that I'm not? What did you initially do to think that? And then to think that you're going to, I said my name was Dr. Donna Thomas Rogers. They're not fucking handing out doctorates to people. That's not something that's 1 out of 10. I've done the work. There you go. So to say that, it's an insult to most people, but I'm an educator. So just like when someone said, thank you for your service, and I educated them, I'm here to educate the group that is going to see this later in the future. It is not a compliment. It's actually throwing shade, because initially you thought I was dumb and you thought I couldn't speak. That's what that says to me. Now I'm intelligent and I'm articulate, and because what you see is an African American woman who just has on a t-shirt, so she can't possibly know anything because she's sitting with no books behind her with some Walmart pajama pants on. So you did beauty bias, age bias, confirmation bias, gender bias, and all kind of things to then give me what you believe is a compliment, instead of saying, I was wrong as hell about you, because that's the truth. You were wrong. You were taking a snapshot of what you thought was taking place, instead of seek first to understand and then be understood. And one of the 74 principles of real leadership is to ask questions. So when you ask questions, you get more information. With that being said, what did you learn so we can get out of here? Again, I did not think that this was going to take this long today, so I do apologize if you have to go. I completely understand. Again, I closed these out for people coming back to watch the live later on. So that's what that's there for. So before you head out, if you could just type in what you learned today, that would be great. I would greatly appreciate it as I continue to improve my research on the daily basis. If you want my poem brilliant, let me know. I will send it to you. Send me a message on Instagram. It's just easier because then the link is there and you can just click it. If you want to email and you have my email, email me and I will email it to you if that's your preferred method of getting your links. But it's there. If you want the snap method, now I got to get another rubber band. That's how much I snapped that other rubber band. And Kevin, has your rubber band broke? I mean, snap it away. Bop, bop, bop. I got a bag full of the rubber bands, though. Rubber band, man. No, that's not what my rubber bands came off of. If you're typing ... If you're leaving, tell me goodbye. I don't want to leave, but I got to go right now. I'll be back before you know it. I don't want to leave. Yeah. Can't say Trey songs no more. I forgot. Okay. Do. What'd you learn? What'd you learn? Type it in. If you got to go, you got to go. Hot flash. Are y'all typing? Because I didn't see anybody's ... If you're on your phone, you could copy and paste what you got. Type ... Yeah, and it might be Abu Dhabi. I forgot because I get them mixed up. We have had more time than we thought. That is correct. That is correct. And Kevin, did you ever start looking at the beige book for your Federal Reserves? Because the new one should be coming out here shortly. The other one came out in January, so it's end of February, beginning of March. They come out every 6 weeks, so you can understand the real estate in your area, what's happening. Beautiful things come out of extreme pressure. Yes. Anyone else before we go? I don't want to leave. I'll be back before. Thank you, Regina, you too. And the final thing that I will say is that while everybody around me, got it, while everybody around me was having inferiority complex, and I mean friends, everybody, I was in my frontal lobe the whole time. So I was able to accomplish a myriad of things and still have that here, but it never penetrated to my frontal lobe. So it just stayed in the amygdala, but it didn't stop anything. So you can't stop people from having inferiority complex. That's not something that you can do, but you can offer them you can offer them personal accountability and say, you know, you really don't have to behave like that. That's what you can do, but you don't have to let it penetrate through and stop you from being in your frontal lobe. You say, okay, cool, that's true for you and that's your narrative, but it's not true for me. And Lola, I'm always listening to your live, and a lot of times I can't be texting. I'm here. I know. I understand. I got it, especially with the time difference. So, and it's always been difficult to try to find the right time that works for everybody and myself and my schedule, work with my daughter. So that's why I'm happy on YouTube, because if you miss it, it's there. You just go look at it when you get a chance. That's the beautiful part of YouTube. I wish they had a mirroring so I could flip it so you could actually see when my shirt is there. Okay. All right. So thank you so much, everybody. You all go off and have a great day. Remember, word of the day is temporary. Use it 5 times. It means not permanent. And you need to list the 5 things in your life that at the time they were big and you thought they were permanent and you found out that they were temporary. So be ready for that. I learned that people don't do stuff because of fear of failure. Yeah, and it's an inferiority complex. So that's that. And it doesn't have to be at all. Thank you very much. God willing, higher power, and the universe, my articulate, intelligent ass will be no shade. All right. I'm going to bring my articulate, intelligent, brain having beautiful self back por la mañana. I'm going to be back tomorrow, God, higher power in the universe willing, with a brain t-shirt that does not look like this one, and all of the cognitive activities that you didn't do today, tomorrow. You all go off and have a phenomenal, fantastic Friday. Adios and auf Wiedersehen.